Hello everyone, this is Karen.
Hey everybody, this is Shane.
Today we're looking at part 1 of What's in a Name? The history of last names. And the vocabulary words are clue.
Clue.
The police sent someone in to examine the crime scene for clues.
Community.
Community.
Many members of the community were worried about the increase in property taxes.
Identify.
Identify.
Rosa was able to correctly identify the thief to the police.
Distinguish.
Distinguish.
I have trouble distinguishing between the different types of oranges.
Really?
No.
Let me help you.
Okay.
Shorten.
Shorten.
The record label shortened the song to make it more suitable to be played on the radio. So, what's in a name?
All right, so we're talking about the history of last names.
That's right, and there are some quite interesting stories about last names.
So you have a Chinese last name, Chen. Does that mean anything?
I don't know. I don't think it has any stories. A lot of common Chinese last names, Chinese surnames are like Chen, Lin, Li, Chang, right? So what's your surname?
Well, my last name is Rendelman.
Rendelman.
So I think European names, you can kind of figure out what the meaning is for a lot of names. So Rendelman, Rendel meant reindeer. I forgot which language, but reindeer, man.
Really? So Rendel kind of means reindeer.
Yes.
Okay, so Rendelman, it's reindeer man. Really?
Interesting, right?
So you're related to
I'm
reindeer?
No, because maybe somebody in history of my family, maybe his occupation was to look after reindeer.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Can I call you Shane Reindeerman?
Okay, why not?
Because I think that sounds really cute.
So the roots really can come from a lot of places like location or what your father's name was.
Or occupation, which is different kind of jobs, right?
Or even a nickname.
That's right.
Cool. All right, well, let's learn a little bit more about the history of last names.
All right.
What's in a name? The history of last names. Your name is an important part of your identity, especially your last name. Surnames can give us clues about our family history and background. But how did surnames first come about?
Today's lesson is called What's in a Name? The History of Last Names. Part 1. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff. That's my first name.
Yes, that is your first name.
My first name.
We'll get into last names very soon, and I'm Mike, but
That's your
yes.
first name.
That's also my first name, yeah. But last names are interesting because especially from Western countries, I think they give a little bit of the history of your family as well. You can kind of find out about, now we're not talking about you find out about the person's grandfather through their last name. Whoa, no, we're talking about going back hundreds of years, many generations. It probably has nothing to do with what you do or what your family's like today, but the history of these names, the root and the origin of the names is simply an interesting little thing and an interesting little window or a little glimpse into a family's past.
A little bit of a teaser. Yeah, I had a friend growing up in school. His name was Randy Barber.
Randy Barber. So you imagine
Barber, so I imagine, yes, at some point in the past, his family, well, someone in that family must have cut hair like a barber.
Or been a surgeon, because barbers used to be surgeons too.
Wow. Anyways, your name is an important part of your identity, especially your last name.
Absolutely. As we read surnames or last names, that's just another way for saying last names. Surnames can give us clues about our family history and background. So if we have a typical name, John Smith, John would be the first name, the given name, the Christian name, and Smith, that would be the last name or the surname, the family name.
John Smith. A smith. I imagine a smith is someone who might have worked as a blacksmith,
or any kind of
fashioning metal or something like that. Some type of Smith, perhaps. Anyways, clues, everyone. When we talk about clues, we're talking about pieces of evidence. Something that tells you that something might be true or false. Like detectives, when they are examining the scene of a crime, they look for clues. And these clues tell them, oh, this type of person must have committed this crime, so on and so forth. For example, the police sent someone in to examine the crime scene for clues. Yes, we have to solve this crime, so we have to get some clues. Anyways, back to last names. But, our article asks, but how did surnames first come about? It's a good question. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这2天的课文啊，是关于姓氏的由来。假设有一个人他叫做 John Smith， 那么英文的姓名写法是名字在前，姓氏在后，所以 John 就是他的名字，也就是他的 first name 或是 given name。那在传统基督教国家，也有人会用 Christian name 来表示。好，那么 Smith 就是他的姓氏，那也就是他的 surname、last name 或者是 family name。好，那么课文提到说，一个人的姓氏呢，可以提供家族历史和背景的线索。不过，同学们知道姓氏最早是怎么出现的吗？好，那我们先来看单字 clue。clue 表示线索或是提示。那么课文里面用到片语动词 come about， 在这边是不及物用法，用来表达出现或是发生的意思。好，接着回到课文中。
What's in a name? The history of last names. Many American surnames have their roots in the Middle Ages of Europe. Before that time, surnames didn't exist in Europe. Since communities were small, there were enough personal names or nicknames to identify everyone. However, as populations grew and people began to travel more, first names began to be repeated. People needed a way to distinguish between those with the same first names, so they came up with surnames.
Big surprise! Many American surnames have their roots in the Middle Ages of Europe. Is that a big surprise? Not quite. Most of the people in America probably did come from Europe originally. So, that's where their last names come from Europe. But why the Middle Ages?
Yeah, interesting. The Middle Ages would be sort of 12, 13, 1400s, you know, the time of castles, kings, knights, all that kind of stuff. So that's when surnames kind of came in, but that wasn't when people were invented. They've had people for a long time before that. So what did they do? Well, it says before that time, surnames didn't exist in Europe. It was just John and Mark and David and Mary.
Hey, Bob, come here.
Susan and things like that. How did that work? Well, it was a different time. Since communities were small, there were enough personal names or nicknames to identify everyone, all right? People didn't live in big cities like they do today. They lived in small towns, small villages, farming communities, things like that. What is a community? It's a noun, and it's basically just a group of people that are living together, or a group that's living together, a community of animals or a community of bats we could talk about. But here, of course, we're talking about people. A small community could be a village, just, 10 families. A big community could be neighborhoods or, areas of whole cities. But basically, it's people living together. For example, many members of the community were worried about the increase in property taxes. They all live there, so it will affect all the people in the community.
Nobody likes taxes.
Yeah.
Anyways, it says here that there were enough personal names and also nicknames to identify everyone in these small communities. So what does this word identify mean? Okay, here the verb identify means to be able to tell who someone is, let's say, by sight. If you can recognize someone and you can figure out who they are, you can identify them. Yeah, Bob, who's that? Oh, I know that person. That person is John. Yeah, that person has just been identified as being John. Anyways, for example, Rosa was able to correctly identify the thief to the police. Yeah, that's the person who did it. I can identify them. That's the thief. Anyway, so we've got small communities. Small communities. Everybody knows everybody else. There are names and nicknames. No need for surnames. But those villages, those communities began to grow. Yes, however, as populations grew and people began to travel more, first names, well, they weren't as effective as before. Yeah, first names began to be repeated. Hi everybody, I'm new in town. My name is John. Oh, you're John, I'm John too. Oh my goodness, now we've got two Johns. How will we be able to tell these people apart?
You can see that it would get very, very confusing if you had more people with the same name. So people needed a way to distinguish between those with the same first names, so they came up with surnames or last names. Yeah, having 4 Johns living on the same road in the town could make things confusing, and it would be hard to distinguish, especially when you're talking about them and that person isn't there. To distinguish is to tell things apart. First, you identify the thing, but maybe those things look similar. There's 2 things that look almost the same. You will still need to distinguish them by noticing smaller details or something like that. We often distinguish our car by, remembering the color of the car or the license plate on your car, because a lot of cars look the same. So you put a little unique thing, a little special thing on your car that makes it different, and that will help you distinguish it or tell it apart, pick it out from a group that looks a lot the same. For example, I have trouble distinguishing between the different types of oranges. The big oranges, the nectarines, the I don't know, Moroccan oranges.
The navels versus the Valencias.
Valencias, I didn't even know about those blood oranges. There's so many oranges, but I don't know which ones they are.
Too bad.
It's a shame. Let's take a break,
Let's
have
take
an
a break.
orange, and then we'll be back to talk about surnames.
See you then.
好，很多美国姓氏呢是源自于欧洲中世纪时代。那么来自欧洲，这很好理解嘛。可是为什么是中世纪时代呢？原来在那个时期之前，欧洲没有姓氏，因为社区都很小，光是用个人的名字或是绰号来辨认每个人就够了。那不过后来随着人口增加，人们有更多往来，这个名字就开始重复了。同学们想想看，要是有个地方有10个人都叫做 John， 这样怎么区分呢？于是呢，他们就想到用姓氏来区分。好，先来看3个单字 ，community。Community 它表示社区、社群、团体的意思。那么 identify 这个动词表示识别或者是辨识出、辨认出。好，那么把字尾 ify 改成 ity 会得到名词 identity。identity 表示身份。好，再来看 distinguish。distinguish 这个动词有区分、辨别的意思。那其实我们也可以用片语 tell apart 来表达分辨、区分。好，那么单字例句写到说没有办法区分不同种类的柳橙，那这时候老师们有提到几种水果，像 navel orange 就是脐橙、肚脐橙。好 ，blood orange 表示血橙，它的那果肉果汁啊是深红色，像血的颜色。还有提到 nectarine 表示油桃、玫瑰桃。好，接着回到课文中。
What's in a name? The history of last names. There are 4 major types of surnames: patronymic names, locative names, occupational names, and nicknames. The first type, patronymic names, was based on people's fathers. People would simply take their father's first name as their last name. It was also common for sons to add S or son to the end of that name. For example, the son of Richard could have the surname Richards or Richardson. Because there were a limited number of personal names, shortened forms of these names were also used. For example, the name Robert could be shortened to Rob and then become the surname Robson.
Okay, we're back and we're still talking about last names. Your first name, Bob, Jim, Susie. Those are first names. Last names are names like Smith and Taylor and Barber. Okay, and we're going to talk some more about these now. So long ago there in medieval Europe, let's say, people didn't need last names. But then the names started to repeat themselves. Those first names repeated themselves. So that's where surnames came in.
That's right. And what type of names? Well, it actually broke down into different groups, different ways that people would come up with these names. There are 4 major types of surnames: patronymic names, locative names or locative names, occupational names, and nicknames. So basically names that would come from your family, names that come from a place, names that come from a job, and names that come just because you're slightly weird and we're going to come up with a funny name for you. So let's talk about that first group of surnames.
Patronymic. Father's name. Yeah, the first type, patronymic names, was based on people's fathers. There might not be a lot of rhyme and reason to how these names came about. All we know is that a father, your father, let's say, had a name, and you got that name as well. Yeah, people would simply take their father's first name as their last name. There you go. Okay, so those are patronymic names. Let's go ahead and move on. But before we do, a small note on these patronymic names, okay? It was also common for sons to add S or son to the end of that name, their father's name. For example, the son of Richard could have the surname Richards or Richardson.
Okay, this is still the same form that they use in Iceland even to this day.
I believe they also have the form daughter.
That's
like you
for,
can have a son
women.
or daughter.
There
yeah.
you go. And of course in Scotland, Muck was the same as son. So MacDonald was the son of Donald. And in Ireland it would be O'Donnell or O'Malley would be the son of that guy Malley. All right, but because there were a limited number of personal names, shortened forms of these names were also used. It was easier to shorten them, and of course a lot of people had the same names, many of those names taken from Bible stories.
Sure.
David, John, Mark, things like that. What is it to shorten something?
Shorten.
Yeah.
Shorten. Has the word short in there. If something is short, it's not tall. It's not long in length. It's actually quite the opposite. A short person is not tall, and a short distance is not long. So if you shorten something, you make that thing short or shorter than it was before. For example, the record label shortened the song to make it more suitable to be played on the radio. Yes, they removed a long guitar solo or organ solo so that the song was no longer 7 minutes but 3 minutes long. That's more suitable for radio play. Now, moving on, for example, the name Robert could be shortened to Rob and then become the surname Robson. So instead of Robertson, oh, sorry guys, it's already taken. You're going to have to change that. Yeah, you can change Robertson to Robson because Robert can be shortened to the name Rob.
So like Thomas would be shortened to Tom,
Thompson.
so the son would be Thompson or something like that. Very interesting. But remember, there's 3 more types of surnames, and where they came from, we'll be learning all about that tomorrow. But until then, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
刚刚说到很多美国姓氏是起源于欧洲中世纪，那么 Middle Ages 就表示中世纪。刚刚 Jeff 老师用到 medieval 这个字 ，medieval，medieval 也有人念作 medieval， 它可以用来形容中世纪的。好，那么课文接着提到姓氏有4种主要类型，第一种是Patronymic names 表示源自于父亲或是父系的名字 ，Patronymic 就是形容源自于父亲或是父系祖先名字的。好，那它的字首这个 Patro 就表示父亲的意思哦。好，那第二个类型 Locative names 表示地点的姓氏 ，Locative 就是形容位置的。那么第3种是 occupational names 表示职业的姓氏，那么 occupational 就是形容职业的工作的。还有第4个类型是 nicknames 绰号。 好，那我们先来看第一种类型的姓氏。人们会直接用父亲的名字来当做姓氏，或是呢，在那个名字后面加上 s 或者是 son 来表达是某某人的儿子。举例来说 ，Richard 的儿子，也许他会姓 Richards， 在 Richard 后面加 s， 或者是 Richardson， 在Richard 后面加 son。好，那另外人们也会用名字的缩写形式，像 Robert 这个名字可能简称为 Rob， 然后在后面加上 son， 就可以得到 Robson 这个姓氏咯。好，最后来看单字 shorten， 在 short 后面加 en 会变动词，表示缩短，使什么变短。好，那么以上今天讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。大家好，我是 Hanny， 欢迎收看我们的文法单元。今天要介绍的文法重点有2个，第一个是 have one's roots in 什么什么，第二个是 come up with。好，我们先来学 have one's roots in 什么什么。这个名词 root 它原本是指植物的根，根茎类那个根。好，那么复数型的话，常常用来指人事物的根源或是起源。Have one's roots in 什么什么，就是用来表达发源自什么，起源于什么什么。例如 ，The marathon has its roots in ancient Greece。马拉松起源于古希腊时期。好，那顺便补充一下哦，如果要表达起源自什么，你还可以用片语动词 stem from 或者是 spring from。这个 spring 当动词，它的三态是 spring, sprang, sprung。举例来说 ，The idea for the book sprang from a dream she had。那本书的构想是源自于她所做的一个梦。好，那么最后来学习 come up with。片语 come up with 它表示想出或是提出，我们常常用它来表达说想出新的点子啊，想出新的构想，或者是想到问题的解决方法等等。举例来说 Mary came up with a brilliant idea to solve the problem。 Mary 想出一个很棒的点子来解决问题。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们下次见喽，拜拜。
我们赶时间，快点，快点！
等一下，我还没有跟我男友说。
快点！
哎呦，我要给他一个。
已经在录啊 ！Hi everybody, welcome to English in Action. I'm Shane.
I'm Holly.
快点，快点 ！OK，
你干嘛那么赶时间？
我就是赶时间啊！
为什么？
好，对话。Okay, let me get the money I owe you.
Oh, come on, I'm in a hurry.
Hey, what?
哎呦，你真以为我会
不好笑
拿走？
等一下是。
好啦，
都有了
你真的很夸张。
All right, so you said.
I'm in a hurry.
对，你要听到那个 in a。
所以其实它是2个字。
对，是 in a hurry。可是我们说出来是 in a。I'm in a hurry.
Yeah， 没有人会说 I'm in a hurry， 因为你很急的时候你不会这样讲话。
其实对，因为你真的很急。I'm in a hurry， 感觉很不对啊。I'm in a hurry，in a。
没错。
Okay，or you could say I'm in a rush。
Okay，so rush 其实也是赶时间的意思。
对，我很急那这个是如果你要这个人动作快，因为你觉得你很赶时间，你可以跟他说 chop chop。
chop 不是切东西吗？
对，我不知道为什么是 chop chop， 可是我都是这样子，不然你也要这样子假装 chop
chop。所以 chop 其实是切东西，所以你可以想象，就是在餐厅啊，如果那个单很多的话，他们可能就会叫厨师说：“哎，赶快 chop chop， 赶快出菜了
chop chop。”
Yeah，
不错。
Yeah。Okay。So we're not in a hurry to go anywhere.
Yeah,
we're here to help you, though.
Yeah, very relaxed. Take your time.
Yeah.
Any questions you have, we'll be waiting here, just waiting for you.
有英文问题
We've got all the time in the world.
Yeah， 靠我们
就对了。
I'm in a hurry.
I'm in a hurry.
I'm in a rush.
I'm in a rush.
Chop chop.
Chop chop.